Before Alexandria existed, there was only sand and sea along the Mediterranean coastline. Fishermen hauled their nets beneath an unforgiving Egyptian sun that burned white and merciless. The shore was nameless, forgotten by history, just another desolate stretch of windswept beach. This was the year 331 BC, and the ancient world was about to change in extraordinary ways. On this barren coast, one man would plant the seed of legend that would burn for millennia. His name was Alexander, and the city he dreamed would become the light of all civilization. Stay with us as we journey through 23 centuries of triumph, knowledge, destruction. This is the entire history of Alexandria, 15 minutes from ancient glory to ruin and back. Alexander the Great stood on this peninsula and saw what others could not possibly imagine. A natural harbor protected by the island of Pharos, sheltered from violent Mediterranean storms. A strategic position commanding both the Mediterranean Sea and the life-giving Nile River. The perfect gateway linking Europe, Asia, and Africa in a web of trade routes and culture. He sketched the city's outline in barley meal across the sand, drawing streets and temples. Then he marched east to conquer the Persian Empire, and he never saw Alexandria rise again. But his architect Dinocrates brought the impossible vision to life with engineering brilliance. The city rose in a perfect grid, streets crossing at right angles like a marble chessboard. Wide boulevards were aligned with the prevailing winds to catch the cooling coastal breeze. Two harbors were carved from the shore, the Great Harbor and the smaller Eunostos to the west. Limestone blocks were hauled from quarries up the Nile, each cut to perfection by skilled masons. Canals were dug to connect the city to the Nile, bringing fresh water to every neighborhood. By 300 BC, Alexandria was already unlike any city that had ever existed on the face of Earth. Under the Ptolemies, the Greek kings who ruled Egypt after Alexander's death, the city exploded. Immigrants poured in from across the known world, seeking fortune, knowledge, a new beginning. Greeks, Egyptians, Jews, Phoenicians, Persians, Syrians filled the streets with languages. The Jewish quarter alone housed over 100,000 souls, the largest diaspora community. Markets overflowed with grain from the Nile Delta, exotic spices from distant India beyond the sea. Silk from China arrived by caravan, purple dye from Tyre, ivory from the heart of Africa. Frankincense from Arabia, tin from Britain, amber from the distant frozen Baltic Sea beyond. The population surged past 300,000 souls, more people than Athens had ever held, more people than Carthage, more than Syracuse, more than any city west of Babylon and Persepolis. Alexandria became the largest, richest, most diverse cosmopolitan city in the known ancient world. At its heart stood two wonders that would define what Alexandria meant to human civilization. The first was the Pharos Lighthouse, a monument to ambition that dominated the island's skyline. Built on Pharos Island at the harbor's mouth, it rose over 400 feet into the sky. Three massive tiers of gleaming white marble crowned with a giant bronze mirror reflecting sunlight. At night, fire burned at its summit, visible 50 kilometers out at sea to guide lost ships. Sailors from Carthage, Athens, Rome, Tyre, all navigated by its light burning through the darkness. It was declared one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, a beacon of achievement. Construction took 20 years and cost fortunes, but it stood for over 15 centuries. But the second wonder mattered even more to the destiny of human knowledge and scientific progress. The Great Library of Alexandria, founded by Ptolemy I and expanded by his son, Ptolemy II Philadelphus. It was far more than a building filled with scrolls. It was a sacred mission to humanity, to collect every book ever written in any language, every scroll, every fragment of knowledge. Royal agents scoured the Mediterranean, buying manuscripts, copying texts, seizing scrolls from ships. Every ship that docked in Alexandria's harbor was searched for books to copy before departure. Scholars translated works from Hebrew, Persian, and Sanskrit into Greek for the first time. The Hebrew Bible was translated into Greek here, creating the Septuagint used by millions. The library grew to hold over 500,000 scrolls, perhaps more by some ancient accounts. Some historians claim it reached 700,000 at its peak before the fires came. It was the brain of the ancient world, the memory of civilization stored on fragile papyrus, and it attracted the brightest minds that humanity had ever produced in any known civilization. Euclid wrote his Elements here, the foundation of geometry that endured for 2,000 years. Eratosthenes calculated the circumference of Earth with stunning accuracy, using only shadows. He served as the library's chief librarian, measuring the angle of the sun at noon in 2 cities. Archimedes of Syracuse studied in these halls, developing principles that still govern engineering. Hipparchus mapped the stars with precision, creating the first comprehensive star catalog ever. Galen advanced medicine with dissections and observation that transformed ancient medical knowledge. Hero of Alexandria invented the first steam engine, 15 centuries before the Industrial Revolution. Ctesibius created the first accurate water clock, revolutionizing how humans measured passing time. In Alexandria, knowledge was not locked away in temples or hoarded by priests and kings for power. It was shared, debated, expanded, challenged in the pursuit of truth and understanding beyond borders. The city hummed with intellectual fire day and night as scholars argued under columned porticos. Philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, literature, every field of thought flourished spectacularly. The royal palace covered a quarter of the city, with gardens, zoos, and the museum institution. Scholars received royal salaries to do nothing but study, think, write, and teach the eager generation. Foreign students traveled for months just to study here, drawn by Alexandria's unmatched reputation. Alexandria was not just a city, it was an idea made real that knowledge could unite humanity. But empires do not last forever, and neither do libraries, no matter how magnificent they seem. In 48 BC, Julius Caesar arrived, chasing his rival Pompey into the political chaos of Egypt. Roman soldiers set fire to enemy ships crowding the great harbor to prevent their escape to sea. The flames spread beyond control, leaping from ship to ship, then to the ancient wooden docks. The docks burned, warehouses collapsed into the harbor, and part of the library went up in smoke. Ancient sources debate endlessly how much was actually lost in those terrible hours of fire. Seneca claimed 40,000 scrolls burned. Others said far more. Some insisted it was less. Some say only a few warehouses near the harbor. Others claim half the entire collection burned. Either way, Alexandria bled knowledge. Scrolls that existed nowhere else turned to ash and memory. Works of Sophocles, Aeschylus, early scientific treatises, gone forever in a single afternoon. Yet, Alexandria refused to die even after such a catastrophic loss of irreplaceable knowledge. Under direct Roman rule, the city reinvented itself as the intellectual capital of the empire. The museum, a research institution attached to what remained of the library, still thrived. Philosophers debated in the marble colonnades overlooking the sea, continuing Alexandrian tradition. Mathematicians filled endless sheets of papyrus with equations that would echo through the centuries. Ptolemy, the astronomer, created his Almagest here, mapping the cosmos in a work that endured. The city's grain fed Rome itself, sustaining the heart of the empire with Egyptian wheat. A full third of the empire's entire wheat supply flowed through Alexandria's harbors every year. The city remained vital, powerful, strategically indispensable to Roman power across the Mediterranean. The population reached 600,000 by the 2nd century AD, the empire's second city. But the old pagan world was cracking, fracturing under pressure of new religious movements. Christianity spread through Alexandria like wildfire, converting thousands in markets and secret gatherings. The city that once worshipped Greek gods and Egyptian deities now built towering Christian churches. Theological battles raged in the streets between competing sects, violence erupting over doctrine. Arians fought Athanasians, Nestorians clashed with followers of Cyril, blood spilled over theology. Pagans and Christians clashed in riots, each side claiming divine truth and denouncing the other. In 391 AD, Roman Emperor Theodosius ordered the complete destruction of all pagan temples remaining. A Christian mob stormed the Serapeum, Alexandria's second great library, dedicated to god Serapis. They burned the scrolls in righteous fury, smashed the ancient statues to pieces with hammers, erased centuries of accumulated pagan wisdom in a single day of religious violence and zealotry. The age of knowledge, of open inquiry and debate, was dying in flames and spilled blood. In 415 AD, a philosopher named Hypatia, one of the last great scholars of fading Alexandria, a brilliant woman who taught mathematics and astronomy to students of all backgrounds without fear. She was murdered by a Christian mob in the streets, dragged from her chariot, and brutally killed. Her crime was teaching reason and science in a world increasingly hostile to pagan learning. Alexandria, the city of light and knowledge, had turned dark with religious hatred and intolerance. The 7th century brought yet another conqueror, a new power rising from the Arabian deserts. Islamic armies swept out of Arabia and conquered Egypt in a lightning campaign of tactical brilliance. In 641 AD, Alexandria fell to the forces of Amr ibn al-As after a brief but decisive siege. The city's role in the world changed overnight. No longer the capital of anything truly important. That honor went to a new city being built inland, Cairo, strategically placed near ancient Memphis. Alexandria became a provincial port, important for trade but no longer the center of civilization. Its population shrank as elites and scholars fled to other cities across the fragmenting empire. Its monuments crumbled slowly, marble stolen for new buildings, columns toppled by earthquakes. Earthquakes toppled the mighty Pharos Lighthouse piece by piece over the centuries until collapse. By the 14th century, nothing remained but rubble and legends of its former magnificence. The great library was gone. The museum was gone. The palaces were nothing but silent desert ruins. For 1,000 years, Alexandria slept beneath the sand, buried under layers of history and memory. Forgotten by the world, it once illuminated with the light of human knowledge and scientific achievement. But in the 19th century, Alexandria woke from its long slumber under new ambitious rulers. Muhammad Ali modernized Egypt and rebuilt the city as a vital Mediterranean trade hub once again. European merchants flooded in, seeking cotton, grain, and access to the new Suez Canal constructed nearby. The population soared past 100,000, then 200,000, growing faster yearly. Grand boulevards replaced the ancient rubble. New buildings rose in European architectural styles. The city became cosmopolitan again, a vibrant mix of Greek, Italian, French, Jewish, Arab communities. Writers like Constantine Cavafy and Lawrence Durrell captured its faded, melancholic beauty and poetry. Alexandria was reborn from its ashes, but as a shadow of what it had been 2 millennia before. Today, Alexandria is Egypt's second-largest city, with over 5 million people calling it home. The ancient ruins lie mostly beneath the modern streets, submerged under the Mediterranean or buried. Archaeologists still discover fragments, coins, statues pulled from the harbor floor in expeditions. Cleopatra's palace lies somewhere beneath the waves, waiting to reveal its secrets to divers below. In 2002, the Bibliotheca Alexandrina opened, a modern library built to honor the ancient one lost. It holds millions of books and faces the same Mediterranean Sea that Alexander once crossed victoriously. The lighthouse is gone forever. The scrolls are ash scattered on ancient winds long ago and forgotten. But Alexandria endures through it all, a city that died and came back from absolute nothing at all. A city that lost everything and refused to be forgotten by history or erased from human memory. Broken, rebuilt, resilient, and quietly, defiantly alive despite 23 centuries of change. Like and subscribe, because the next ancient city on our historical map burned even brighter still.